Whoops, there I go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the special edition of the For Hastings Fire American Soccer Show, as we're going to review the 2025 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup semifinals, as both Nashville SC advances along with Austin FC into the final that will be played very soon, this coming Wednesday, October the 1st, at the Q2 Stadium in Austin, Texas. Now, before we even talk about the final, we have to talk about these amazing matches that we saw on CBS Sports Network. And even before I get to the matches that we're going to talk about tonight, I just have to tell you all is that I have been very happy and very excited, and I've enjoyed the coverage from CBS Sports on the Open Cup. Now, granted that what we have seen from CBS Sports is mostly, satellite signal, bringing in the matches from a location to get the signal and then post it on either CBS Sports Network, CBS Sports Golazo Network, Paramount Plus streaming at the same time. I understand completely why these things do happen and the reason it happens. So I understand all this. Believe me, I do. But when you look at the coverage night and day with Ali Trost Martin at the desk, with Mike Grella, with Charlie Davies, with Tony Miola, and occasionally you sprinkle in with Michael Lahoud, Miko Cantor, and occasionally Jillian Sakovits that's at the desk over at CBS Sports Golazo Network. And all of the calls being made by the different broadcasters that handle all this, it has been without a doubt fantastic job by everybody at CBS Sports, including the broadcasters like Joe Malfa, Mike Watts, analysts like Devin Kerr, Ricky Lopez Espin, and the many other talented broadcasters that are calling these games for CBS Sports. But especially the desk coverage, which is what I loved, what we have never ever gotten anywhere else. You just do the games and off you go, and that's it. Nothing more, nothing less. To get analysis from the studios at CBS Sports was just tremendous. And this is why I was so happy when the Open Cup returned to CBS Sports in the third round. Now, hopefully next year, I know they're going to have another 2 years involved in this deal, 2026, 2027. But my hope is that CBS Sports continues to broadcast U.S. Open Cup games, each and every match of each and every round, because what we are seeing is real care, real commitment, real dedication to the game in this country. We are seeing it from CBS Sports, and it's not just all the soccer properties when it comes to the leagues like Serie A in Italy, like Argentina First Division, Brasileiro in the First Division. We have USL Championship, also USL League One involved as well from the U.S. We're seeing also women's games, women's soccer on CBS Sports Golazo. But I want to see more U.S. soccer games, club and league, and club tournaments on CBS Sports Galazzo. I understand they have to spread the wealth. I understand they have to spread the love. But to me, CBS Sports, I think they have done an amazing job and the care of what the Open Cup truly is about. And even though I understand paywalls are a pain in the butt, and I understand where everyone's coming from, but the truth of the matter is this: we need to have someone in a professional manner to show these matches. And even though ESPN had those 3 years, once again, it just didn't feel like it was enough. This was the next step when CBS Sports came out of nowhere. Now, I'll admit, I thought Bleacher Report was going to be pretty good along with Turner to have Open Cup games. I was even hoping Turner would broadcast some Open Cup games through TNT and or TBS. But unfortunately, that never happened. Stepping in with CBS back in 2023, they snuck in for 3 games each round until Turner said, yes, CBS, you want the whole Open Cup? You got it. We will step down from Open Cup coverage. You can have it. You can do whatever you want with it. And CBS, in my opinion, has been magical with it. Like I said, all I wanted was to make sure that the right network, the right sports network, and the right company comes in and shows us what they can do with the Open Cup. That's all I'm asking for. Show us what they can do, the right network, to show us that they are important, to show us why the U.S. Open Cup will be a part of their network, streaming-wise, linear television-wise. That, my friends, is why I have been begging for this for such a long period of time. And all I can tell you is I've been happy. I've enjoyed it. I have been excited for what CBS Sports has done. Pre-game, in between halves, in between games, post-game. It has just been unbelievable. And then, of course, the semifinal games that we saw. On the calls, Chris Whittingham, Tony Meola, Claudia Pagan at the stadiums to give sideline discussion. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. There's nothing much more I can say or do or talking about this. This, my friends, is the reason why we need to have Open Cup. Has to be considered a major part of soccer television in the United States. Fox Sports had it for a short period of time, but they didn't really do much with it. We had it on Gold TV. Of course, they only showed the final, which, in my opinion, is terrible. We had ESPN that did some good and elevated the coverage. But CBS Sports has been lights out. And even though, unfortunately, MLS tried to circumvent it in 2024, last year, the truth is that for the Open Cup, we must continue to have the dedication and the want and the need to have this tournament respected, not just in the soccer circles, but on the broadcasting network circles. And right there and then, CBS Sports comes up big and does the job. Does the job. And I'm just so happy, so happy that CBS Sports has come up big and given us what we want. Now, I'm not here to criticize CBS Sports. Like I've said, I'm here to praise them, to tell them they have been excellent. Pete Radovich Jr. once again showing real care, real belief, real dedication to the U.S. Open Cup. And I appreciate what he has done on the broadcasting side. Now, once again, I would like to ask Mr. Radovich, if he is watching tonight, if he is watching my show, what I would like to do and what I would like to say is that maybe, if it's possible, now I know you're doing rounds proper. All I can say is that I would love to see CBS Sports with the 16 first round bids available for amateur Open Cup qualifying. I would love for them to actually, through Paramount Plus streaming, even if they want to put on Galazzo Network, maybe even CBS Sports Network, I would love for them to have the final round of Open Cup qualifying on their platform. We may still, it's probably going to be, it's probably going to be once again through YouTube streams, which is fine. But if CBS Sports can find a way to get the final round of qualifying matches, those 16 spots, and give the amateur teams their proper due, honestly, I think it would be absolutely tremendous for CBS Sports to get those Open Cup clubs that are going to try to get into the opening round for 2026, which will be around the end of November of this year. I think it would be absolutely tremendous to have that done, to get that done. And if they can do that, I think they've knocked it out of the park. Without a doubt, I think they've knocked it out of the park, and I think we'd be complete. Of course, I'm always hoping they move the championship final to CBS National, which would be in New York, CBS Channel 2, wherever regular CBS National Network is. For all of you, wherever you are in the United States, if they can get it on the national CBS station for the championship final, I think that'll be fantastic as well. But I'm not going to push my luck. All I hope for is this: just maybe move the final round of Open Cup qualifying into Paramount Plus streaming, CBS Sports Galazzo Network, maybe even CBS Sports Network for the weekends, and everything will be right as rain, and we'll see what happens there. Other than that, I'm happy with what CBS Sports has done, and we have ourselves a hell of a final coming up. But before we do that, we got to talk about the semifinals. Joining me tonight, coming from Nashville, Tennessee, he is the podcast host of Pharma Soccer, also part of 615 Soccer in the Nashville area, covering Nashville SC. This is Mr. Claybraham. I believe I got his last name correct.
You did. That's a rarity, honestly. So it's spelled phonetically, but everyone messes it up.
Hey, listen, if it avoids $10 out of the mistake jar, I'm happy to do so. But Clay,
Absolutely.
thank you for joining me tonight, and thank you very much. Nashville SC is on a trajectory I don't think you've seen ever since the club came up into MLS, and they are now in the Open Cup Championship. Did you ever thought Nashville could make this run?
So it's an interesting question, right? I really did. I don't know that I would have expected it this year, but this was something that we talked about a lot in the off season and a lot at the beginning of the year because of the structure of the Open Cup. Regrettably, is the way that it is, where not every team is, not every team in MLS is competing in it. If you're sitting in Nashville's shoes and are expecting to be a playoff level team entering the year, which a lot of people weren't expecting of Nashville, but here in the market we kind of were. Then you have to hope that you're making an Open Cup run. Obviously, we saw this Nashville team make a run kind of out of nowhere to a Leagues Cup final a few years ago, where they beat Monterrey and Club America and Cincinnati, who was in for a Supporters Shield. They'll probably never make a cup run, whether it's MLS Cup or Open Cup or whatever, where they beat that caliber of teams, you know, in the span of a couple weeks. But then last year was just so bad for most of the season for Nashville. So I think that a lot of people had their hopes up for Open Cup, and we were a little bit caught off guard when it looked like the team may have been mailing it in against Orlando, but then the B team beat Orlando, and then suddenly here they are finding themselves in the final, and everyone's so excited about it. Obviously, 615 Soccer, we have almost our entire crew going out to Austin for it. So we got our beat writers, we've got all of the Pharma Soccer folks going, we got a photographer going out there with us. We're treating it as big a deal as we possibly can, which is great for us because we just started this company last year, or earlier this year, I should say.
No, that's fantastic. I'm glad to hear you and everyone else at 615 Soccer will be heading down to Austin. It should be a heck of a time at the Q2 Stadium. Since hiring BJ Callahan as your head coach, how shocked were you he got Nashville into a groove that I know you've always had some good players, but the problem, I guess, was putting the pieces together. And occasionally it's been good, but then it's been haphazard. He's gotten them really gelling, not just in league play, but in Open Cup play as well.
Yeah, it's been a tough couple of last probably 6-7 weeks, but other than that, like the team is like checking off every box. It's interesting because like in Nashville, I've been an MLS fan a long time, like a really long time. I remember watching terrible quality on MLS Kick and Direct Kick and all that stuff, 15 years ago. And so like the people around here are still kind of learning, you know, what an MLS coach, like what caliber an MLS coach is. So like they hired BJ Callahan, and I wouldn't necessarily say that I was like skeptical, but there's a long history of assistant coaches from the U.S. national team going to MLS, and some of them are Jesse Marsch, and some of them are extremely not. And so I was really curious to see the direction it would go because Nashville was so established in kind of the ways that they operated because they'd had the same backroom staff, coaching staff, some of the same players going back to when they started building the team for USL in 2018. And so it was the first real shakeup. And I mean, they've really passed it with flying colors. Last year, I don't know that I would have expected this after the way they were in the second half of the season. There's the caveats there. It's not BJ's team. He's learning how to be a head coach. I mean, he had not been a club level head coach. And so people were cautiously optimistic. I was firmly on the cautious side of that. And then he really just came out firing. The team came out firing. They really built the squad that they have in a way that's surprising to a lot of people. And really, it's a really big feather in the cap for Mike Jacobs. So like Mike, who's the team president, of course, and in charge of all the soccer moves and all that stuff. Mike had done such a good job with that first, couple of years with Nashville. And then it kind of got a little bit interesting, what was going to happen, and I think moving on from Gary and hiring BJ was the first real test. And the second real test was trying to build a team that would work with that, because it's a complete departure from the way that Nashville did play. And to do that so quickly and with the same designated players, which is a thing that, you know, we've brought up a few times, that doesn't always happen like that. For BJ to come in, implement a new system, but make sure that that system still works with the pieces that Nashville is spending the most money on, like, that's a really impressive thing that I don't think you see a lot of in MLS, because a lot of times you see a coaching change, those DPs tend to change pretty quickly around that same time too.
No, it really is. And, I mean, look what's going on here. I mean, you're in at least top 4 of the Eastern Conference, at least.
Well,
Top 4, top 5, I would say.
Well, they've slid a little bit the last few weeks. It's not been easy sledding. Nashville's lost in added time the last 2 league games, and the East is such a dogfight right now. You're one win away from being, you know, in the top 4, and you know, unfortunately, also one loss away from being in 7th. So Nashville is it. There's a lot of people that are very interested to see what happens this weekend against Houston, because I think Nashville really just needs a win to get morale back. Because the next home game after this is Miami on the last day of the season.
Oh boy, yeah, that's a tall order right there. Exactly. I'm going to pop this up right now. Obviously, we're going to recap that semifinal. Unbelievable, Sam Surridge. He's red hot, and I believe he's still leading the Golden Boot race for MLS with 21, probably more than 21 goals by now. But
he just got surpassed last night.
All right.
Yeah, Messi just pipped him last night to take the lead.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been up there all year though.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Got himself a hat trick and just took the Union down all by himself. That opening goal, though, in the 36th minute, that was great on how he headed that in. It was off the throw-in, and then that header pass to Surridge for that opening goal was just tremendous.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's an interesting guy, right? Like, he doesn't tend to have one-goal games. If he scores once, you better settle in, because he's probably going to get at least one more. And it's what Nashville has just been desperate for ever since Hani's been there. Hani's been so good for so long. But Surridge has really, really shown, like, there's the adage about a guy needs a second year in MLS. And so Surridge is he's about 2.5 years deep, and he's just been absolutely rolling since the season started. So it makes sense that he would be the guy in this game. And for a lot of people like me, his first ever appearance with Nashville was I think it was like a 99th minute equalizer to send it to against Club America to go to penalties in the League's Cup. That was the first time that he played for Nashville. And so he's been here for, like I said, about 2.5 years. And he's got two of the most iconic moments in that he's gotten that goal against Club America, but then in a semifinal at home, he gets a hat trick. I mean, what more could you ask? If Nashville goes on to win, next week, this is the Sam Surridge game.
It is. It really is. And of course, that second goal he scored in the 50th minute, just great awareness, great positioning, staying on side as well as he headed the ball in. Now, interesting enough, because I know Damiani was already on a yellow card, and thankfully the ball went in, because if he didn't swing his hand and try to wipe the ball or whack the ball away from the net, that's a penalty. I mean, they could have given Damiani a second yellow and a red card and point to the spot, but they let Surridge keep the goal.
Yeah, I mean, by rule, Damiani probably should have seen a yellow and been sent off. It is what it is. You know what you're getting with officials in MLS. You're just gonna. I mean, I know it's technically U.S. Open Cup, but yeah, it was a classic sort of Nashville situation too. It just came together so quickly, and just like that, 2-0. And I can only say I was in the stands, and you could feel it. It wasn't really a packed house, unfortunately, that game, as Open Cup games tend to be, but the energy from the people who were there, it went up at an entire another level when that second goal went in, because the game was begging for a second Nashville goal. Nashville was playing really, really well.
Yep, it really was. I know Quinn Sullivan got that rocket to make it 2-1, but still, though, you can tell the Union were not ready for this game. I mean, they were still suffering from the 7-0 defeat by the Whitecaps in league play. But I have to say, though, that third goal by Surridge, how exquisite was it that he just side foot tapped it towards the far post, and inside of it was just unbelievable. I was shocked he had that in his bag.
He loves a far post finish. If you go back and watch him when he was playing for Bournemouth or Nottingham Forest, that is something that he likes to do. But yeah, I'll tell you what, I was getting a little bit nervous there because Nashville had gotten a little bit shaky the 10 minutes after that Sullivan goal, which great goal from Sullivan. It's kind of surprising he didn't play more in that game, honestly, considering what was on the line for Philly. But yeah, when Surridge scored, kind of everyone let out a big sigh of relief and then started to get ready to figure out, all right, is Nashville going to Austin or are they going to Minnesota? Where do I need to book tickets to? Who do I need to talk to get a hotel? Like, it was a really, really fun atmosphere. Again, unfortunate it wasn't like a packed house. It would have been amazing in a packed house, but it was a really, really fun atmosphere after that third goal.
It really was. And all I can tell you is this. I mean, how much watching the second semifinal were you antsy? Because once it went to extra time and nothing was happening until the final minute, and even I'll admit, even though they said no stoppage time in the second half, I thought this was going to penalties. What did you think from your perspective on the other?
I definitely did. I didn't get to watch the entirety of it, so I was watching it at a bar, and then I was like, "Are we really about to sit here and go to extra time?" And so I started to drive home and listen to it. And literally, as I was pulling into my driveway here in Nashville, I saw a bunch of text messages come through, and I was like, "Oh, I need to go see what happened." And it was literally like I had turned it off right when the goal went in because I was figuring I'd come in the house and watch the penalties, which tells you, I mean, that's the game, isn't it? Like, you never leave a game early, but couldn't stay at the bar. It was closing, so. I was just like, I had no idea what happened. So I came in, I sat down, and I watched the last few minutes of it. I mean, good. I mean, it's good for Austin. Obviously, kind of feel bad for Minnesota, but you know, I used to live in Texas. I don't mind going back to Austin.
There you go. That's not bad. Go see some old friends. Go see some other people you haven't seen in a long time.
Sure,
so, like I said, what is the feeling? Because obviously the Titans had an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. They could not. The Predators had an opportunity to win the Stanley Cup. Unfortunately, they could not. Even though Nashville had an opportunity to win the League's Cup and didn't, now you have a second chance in 3 years to win a trophy. And, I mean, depending on what happens in the playoffs this year, we'll find out. But you could win the Open Cup and become the first professional side in the state of Tennessee to win a trophy. I mean, what's that like to carry that flag?
So, yeah, I'll tell you what, it's hard to get much more heartbreaking than that League's Cup final. Because, I mean, it was the first year where they did all these teams that came in. Like, there were a lot of national media here because it was Messi in his first year and 11 rounds of penalties. Like, all of the drama in that game, and only to lose felt very, very Nashville. You know, as a lifelong Titans fan, like, I was like, yep, that's about how I expected it to go. The vibe is interesting, right? Like, so among the soccer community here, everyone is very, very, very excited. There is still a bit of that divide, that sports divide that I'm sure, I mean, you've been around for a while. You know what I'm talking about, where it doesn't want to get acknowledged as like being a big deal. And I'm like, well, the Open Cup is older than so many things that you could win. Like, the Open Cup has been around for 14 years or something like that. 113 years.
Yep, exactly.
It's so old that like it predates so many things that are relevant in sports these days. So like Nashville winning it would be a big deal. And I think there's a lot of learning to be done about like, well, it's not MLS Cup, but also MLS Cup is not really like the regular season champion, which is what most people think of in soccer. So it's like you're doing a little bit of teaching while also trying to get them excited about it. And honestly, like it's the biggest bummer for me because it's something that MLS I think should be doing more
Yeah.
around. And I understand the reasons for not doing more around it, and I think that they're nonsense. But I just it's such a bummer because it is the one truly authentic, like historic thing for a league that gets a lot of, I think, undue criticism for its lack of history. I think MLS has done some pretty cool things in 30 years, but like this is the one thing that you should make a big deal out of because it's the one thing that no one can really hammer you on because the history is so deep.
Exactly.
And that is the part that is like a bummer to me because I'm like, if people knew what the Open Cup was and kind of understood it, would we have 25,000 people at an Open Cup semifinal? People don't really know about it, and part of that, it's easy to kind of put that all on Nashville, like as a club, but I don't really think it's their fault. I think it's a league issue, and the league doesn't want to highlight the Open Cup from my, standing on the sidelines yelling about things
Right.
perspective, and it's just such a bummer because like the city of Nashville has history in the Open Cup. Like I run Nashville Soccer Archive. We got a physical archive that's at Vanderbilt University. Like it's a whole thing. There's a headline from the Nashville Tennessean newspaper from 1999. I'm going to get the year wrong. 1998.
Hmm.
That says, "Poof, Metros make Wizards disappear." And that's when the Nashville Metros beat the Kansas City Wizards here in Nashville at Ezel Park, which is essentially a rec park next to a jail, like here in Nashville. And like that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And Nashville had a pro soccer team in 1982. Like, so there's history in the sport in the city. And so this is obviously like very much in my wheelhouse. Of course, I would care about the Open Cup because
Yep.
that's kind of my thing. But like, it's such a cool thing to win. And for being the history nerd that I am, I'd almost want to win an Open Cup as much as I'd want to win any of the other ones because like Bethlehem Steel won the Open Cup, like Maccabi Los Angeles won the Open Cup, Fall River
Yep.
Marksmen won the Open Cup. Like these are all like super historic teams, and it'd be cool if Nashville's on that list too.
It would be so, but I'll tell you right now, Clay, I really appreciate your time. Safe travels down to Austin.
Oh yeah.
And good luck again. Congratulations. Yeah, Nashville SC is heading to the Open Cup final. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one, man.
Thank you, Clay Trainum from 615 Soccer and Pharma Soccer Podcast. Up next now, he does cover Austin FC for the Austin Chronicle. An amazing semifinal for them as well. Once again, Eric Goodman joining me tonight on that amazing semifinal game. Eric, welcome back. And were you biting your fingernails? Because I thought it was going to penalties. I bet you thought it was going to penalties that match. And all of a sudden, the miracle happened.
Yeah, that's right. I wasn't biting my fingernails because I was like relaxed waiting for the penalty shootout where Austin has Brad Stuver in goal. That's how they got to the semifinal in the first place through a penalty shootout. You're really thinking that's Austin's best route to making the final. What you're not expecting is for CJ Fodre of all players to come up huge in the decisive 120th moment in really what was just a revelation, like just one of those moments that athletes, I think, they just see the opportunity and they visualize it before it happens. And I think in that, for that goal, you see John Gallagher on the right wing. He lifts his arm up to signal that to Diego Rubio that he's open, and then Gallagher plays probably the most underrated part of that goal is a beautiful ball to Mirto Uzuni, who might probably should have scored himself. Instead, Dane Sinclair, not one of his greatest moments because he puts that ball right in the pathway of Fodre, and boom, easy, tap in goal. Austin's in the Open Cup final for the first time in their history.
And even before that happened, you're hearing from the broadcasters, Chris Winningham on CBS Sports Network, saying there will be no there'll be no stoppage time added in the second half of extra time. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to blow the whistle right here. And we're going to penalties. And then bam, that happened. And I was in complete shock. I could not believe that all of a sudden Fodry is at the right place at the right time to punch that ball back in.
Yeah, and we heard Nico Estevez even said it, like he had already started his thinking and his working with his coaches about what the order of the penalty takers was going to be. And then when that goal goes in, he mentioned like usually you have a big goal and there's at least a couple of minutes where you got to sweat out, until the final whistle. But that was so late in the match that he knew there was no chance that was the winning goal. There was no chance it was going to be. There was no opportunity for Minnesota to do anything about it. And so he said that was one of the most powerful celebrations he's ever experienced on the sidelines, just because you didn't have to have that little, in the back of your mind stress that, oh, could we possibly give it away somehow if we let our guard down?
No, absolutely. I'm going to pop this up, but obviously we're going to keep on talking about the semifinal. That opening 45, I didn't even think we're going to get a goal either in the opening half because, both sides were it looked even to me. Both were attacking, both were defending. Opportunities were there. Dane St. Clair was doing very well for Minnesota. Stuver was doing very well for Austin. And then Osman Bukhari just comes out of nowhere. Fantastic run, fantastic cross in front of Bukhari. And all of a sudden, inside first half stoppage time, I don't know how he squeezed that ball past St. Clair and got it over the line. That was amazing.
Yeah, and you did have this season, certainly the two top goalkeepers in Major League Soccer. I think most people would say one played like he's a top two goalkeeper in Major League Soccer, and one, Dane St. Clair, didn't have his best game because that goal Bukhari scores right through his legs. St. Clair gets a lot of it, banging around, whatever it hit, calf, thigh, but he can't keep it out of the goal. And Osman Bukhari, from an assist from Owen Wolf, who has been Austin's best player and has been a revelation this season. And then Osman Bukhari, one of those designated players that had a really slow start to his Austin career, a really slow start to this season. But he's that kind of direct player that when Austin lets the other team possess the ball and sits and waits for those counterattacking opportunities, that's when they're most dangerous. I mean, it's that weird thing in soccer where sometimes you are most threatening on goal when the other team has the ball. And Austin has been that team more times than not this year. And when you have pace like Bukhari does and the ability to place the ball in a position that gives the goalkeeper problems, good things happen.
No, it really is. And then all of a sudden in the second half, Minnesota gets that free kick just probably 3 to 5 yards outside the area. And Joaquin Pereira, there's nothing you can do about that one. I mean, he just destroyed that ball around the wall, short side into the far post.
Those are the kind of goals Austin's conceding right now. The only time Austin concedes is when the shot is placed or the passage of play leads to a chance that Brad Stuver can't do anything about. He wasn't even in a position to dive on it. You can maybe nitpick about the wall was that ball potentially could have been saved by the wall, but honestly, those are just what a pleasure to see goals like that, even if they're scored against you, even if you're a fan of one team and they're scored against you, you got to applaud it. I mean, that's the kind of quality that we love to see, especially in MLS in the Open Cup, because those are the goals that, circulate online. They're the goals that people remember. And luckily for Austin, it will kind of get lost as a footnote because of what happened eventually, in extra time.
I have to ask you, ever since the start of the season, and Josh Wolf was running the club at the start of the season, and then he gets sacked, and then you give Nico Estevez the opportunity, or they give Nico Estevez the opportunity to take over as head coach. Did you ever thought this Open Cup run would be part of Austin's revival for this season?
It's come out of nowhere. In part because you mentioned Josh Wolf. I mean, one of the things, like, there were a lot that kind of turned fans off of his tenure in the end. But one of those things that was like, weighted really heavily was that the Open Cup disappointments and all cup competition, all cup competition performances were so poor. I mean, getting eliminated by San Antonio, not progressing past the first round at any Open Cup under Josh Wolf. And so, especially in that I forget what round it technically was over the course of the Open Cup, but the first match that Austin played in it, you go down on your home turf 0-2 to El Paso Locomotive, and it takes 3 goals after the 70th minute to turn that around. So at first it's like, oh, this is more of the same. We've seen this before. Austin just embarrasses themselves when they get in these cup competitions. Then all of a sudden they are able to comfortably move past Houston. Then you have a ridiculous quarterfinal that I mentioned where Brad Stuver, plays the game of his life and Austin wins in a penalty shootout. Then the dramatics of the semifinal. And it's like, you wonder, if you believe in the kind of team of destiny mojo, certainly seems like Austin has a lot of that going for it, specifically in this competition.
Going around the city, what is everyone saying about not only winning the game, but of course the draw for the hosting rights of the final? It's going to be at the Q2 now. What is everyone in downtown Austin saying? What's the feeling around Austin right now that you're going to host the final in your own backyard?
Yeah, I think people are still kind of warming up to it, especially the Open Cup. Austin was on the road the previous 2 rounds building up to this moment. So it's not like we've had Open Cup games in the recent few weeks for people to kind of, get used to seeing that on the schedule, seeing that in their season ticket, calendar. So there's a warming up process. Austin hasn't ever progressed far in this competition. Like I mentioned, this is new to everyone here and a Wednesday night match. But what I can tell you is SeatGeek is blowing up over this match. The ticket prices are over double what a typical, and these are also, when you talk about these MLS matches Austin's playing in this time period, these are critical matches that are getting a lot of attention. But the Open Cup final, I mean, it's a tough ticket to get right now. In the previous over the weekend when Austin played at home against the Seattle Sounders, you heard a lot about people looking forward to the Open Cup. But as I write my column, which is kind of it's in a mainstream paper geared more towards layman fans, I'm kind of trying to educate people and drum up that interest. Even though this competition has been around for as long as it's been, it just hasn't been a part of Austin FC's history to this point. And so, but you can't. I think anybody when you tell them, hey, listen, you're hosting a final, a trophy is on the line, you could potentially lift the first trophy in your club's history. I think people gravitate towards that pretty quickly.
FC Dallas / Dallas Burn, they were the first Texan side to win the Open Cup back in 1997. They've won a second one, not too recently. And of course, they've been in the final through 2 other times. Houston Dynamo, they've been in 2 Open Cup finals. They've won both of them. Austin right now is the 3rd Texan MLS side to be in the Open Cup final and the possibility of winning the Open Cup. What does that say to you when you talk to these soccer fans from that state of Texas and from the capital city of Texas, that this is the 3rd MLS club that represents the state that's going to be in the Open Cup final?
You have this kind of like inconsistency in terms of how much Austin has kind of established itself as a soccer destination. When you talk about hosting MLS All-Star Game, hosting the U.S. national team, I think it's going to be 3 times by the time this year is over. They certainly have a huge friendly coming up in October against Ecuador. U.S. women's national teams are regular here. Austin is very much a part of certainly the Texas's soccer landscape, but even the United States' soccer landscape. But the only part that's been missing is Austin FC consistently being involved in big, high stakes matches. And so that's finally what you're getting with the Open Cup final at the top of the list. But then also Austin has really turned their season around and established itself as a top 6 team in the Western Conference in MLS play. So I'm really looking forward to this fall, starting with Wednesday night, about how you're finally rewarding the fans here with some good play by the home club.
Obviously, they still have a league match to play this weekend, Austin. But can you sense excitement from the players? You sense excitement from Nico Estevez? I mean, he's got to give the serious face every now and then. But, I mean, they're very soon. It'll be a couple of days. There will be a cup final in their backyard.
And he's not going to admit, nor would most coaches admit, he's not going to admit to rotating a squad or staving his legs against Real Salt Lake away. But I expect that to happen. I expect important players not even to make that trip because it's a long trip from Austin to go to Salt Lake. And you want to talk about the players and their recognition of the importance of this moment. Talk about Mirto Uzuni, first time playing in the United States this season. He was with Albania internationally in September, but didn't actually feature in either of the two World Cup qualifiers that they played because he had a little bit of an injury risk, and they offered him the choice. You could either play in these matches, or if we're comfortable giving you a rest if there are things at your club team that you find important. And he mentioned US Open Cup semifinal, potentially the chance to host a final. He ended up not featuring in those matches, and he was instrumental in Austin getting to this point in the final.
No, that's tremendous. That is just unbelievable and great to hear that. Normally, you want to see these players, they want to play for their national team, for their country. But for him to say, no, I want to stay in Texas and I want to be on that Open Cup semifinal match. And, that's just what a tremendous player he has been for your club.
He's turned it around. It's been a really slow start from a guy who, bases his whole identity around scoring goals and setting records. He hasn't done that this year, but a lot of weeks of no goals can be forgiven by scoring a couple of goals at the most crucial moments. And I think that's what he's obviously going to try to do starting Wednesday night and as this fall goes along.
Exactly. Well, all I can tell you, Eric, is this. Cannot wait to see what's going to happen on Wednesday, October the 1st, and hope to have you back again to recap the final. And we'll see if Austin can do the deed, become the third Texas MLS club to win the Open Cup along with Houston and Dallas. As always, Eric, I appreciate your time. Let's go Knicks for this new NBA season.
I'm loving what we're seeing already. I'm loving
That's
it.
right. That's right. But thanks again, and you have a good night. I appreciate it.
All right. You too, Dan. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Eric Goodman of the Austin Chronicle talking about Austin FC in the semifinals of the U.S. Open Cup. Once again, Nashville defeating Philadelphia Union 3-1. Austin FC on the road in extra time, defeating Minnesota United FC by a final of 2-1. And we have our final match coming up on Wednesday, October the 1st. You can watch that match live on CBS Sports Network and or streaming on Paramount Plus. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central is the pregame. 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. I probably messed that up there. I apologize. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central will be pregame, and the match will begin at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. All on CBS Sports Network and Paramount Plus. Once again, Austin FC hosting Nashville SC at the Q2 Stadium in Austin, Texas. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait. And I know we're going to get some great coverage once again from CBS Sports Network. This, my friends, is going to be excellent. I cannot wait. I want to thank my guests once again, Claybraham from Pharma Soccer Podcast and 615 Soccer. And I also want to thank Eric Goodman of the Austin Chronicle joining me tonight. Join me next week. Of course, it's going to be Open Cup week here on the Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer Show. My name is Daniel Feuerstein. Thank you very much for watching me tonight. And as always, please, 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 please enjoy your football. Thank you. Take care. So long and bye-bye for now. Have a good night, everybody. Oh, and don't forget, in October, U.S. Open Cup qualifying round 2. It's going to be a lot of fun. Enjoy your football. Bye-bye for now.